Hey Photo-G, Vadim Chiline here. This is the first video blog I'm doing for Photo-G. Now today is Friday, February 6th, and there's been an announcement from Canon, as some of you might have heard in the rumor mill. Some new cameras, new lens. So I'm going to go over what's been released and their price points and when you should get them in your stores. So first off, Canon has released the follow-up to the 5D Mark III, the 5DS, and its twin brother, the 5DS-R. Basically, the difference between these two models is that one has no low-pass filter. The R stands for no low-pass filter, meaning you'll have no anti-aliasing and stuff like that. It's going to give you a little bit of a sharper image. It's very similar to when the D800 came out in two flavors, the D800 and the D800E. Same exact thing. Now, they both feature a 53 effective megapixel sensor. They have 61 autofocus points, 41 cross types. That's exactly the same as the previous 5D Mark III, which is the exact same as the 1DX series body. It has, let's see what else. It's got the dual digit 6 processors. It needs the new processors to be able to handle the bandwidth of data coming its way. Its ISO range is a lot less than the 5D Mark III, but at the pixel size that we're getting, it's kind of understandable. We get a range of 100 to 6400, extendable from 50 to 12,800, which I think should cover most bases, since really 12,800 is still pretty darn high. I'm curious to see real-world examples and how good it's actually going to be. But in today's world, there's some cameras at smaller megapixels that perform incredibly well. I don't think this is going to be a strong point, low light. It offers crop modes of 1.3x and 1.6x. This is going to be interesting for sports and wildlife photographers. If you're into birding, you're going to be able to get a virtual telephoto effect. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to be smaller. It's probably going to be at a smaller megapixel value, but I'm not sure if there's going to be a faster frame rate when you're doing a crop, since it can buffer more images in the dual digit 6 processors. Now, it offers something really cool, which I'm happy to see Canon has introduced, is the electronic level in the viewfinder. This is going to be something that's been missing. Sony implemented it in their version of the A7 series, the A7S, A7, A7R, which I find is quite cool. It reminds me of like a heads-up display in a fighter jet. You should be able to see exactly, don't need to adjust in post in your RAW converter. That's going to be fun. It offers what's called the Intelligent Tracking and Recognition Autofocus. It's going to help for the sports shooter. Again, Photo-G, we're not a bunch of sports shooters, but I know some of you do stuff on the side and not just stick in the studio. This new tracking system, it's not that new. I think it came out in 2011. It helps recognize patterns in color, such as faces, and keep tracking on that. So it's going to be quite good for perhaps the wedding photographer, the sports photographer, and that. So enhanced focusing. It also offers a very neat feature I find is called the anti-flicker mode, where if you're shooting, again, as a sports shooter, say in an arena or a stadium that has sodium lights, if you've ever shot in those locations, you'll see that from frame to frame, the color changes because there's a refresh rate or I guess a frequency where the sodium lamps are beaming their light, where it can go greenish to regular white, greenish, yellow. The anti-flicker, once set on, will minimize that effect and keep it a more constant white balance. So that's one nightmare that's going to be resolved with anti-flicker. It has, what do you call it, a brand new 150,000 pixel RGB-TR metering sensor. It's the same as a 7D Mark II. It helps again with that recognition tracker, which I spoke about just a couple of seconds ago. So it should give you better response on moving subjects. The film, what do you call it, the flash sync speed is again 1/200th as all 5D cameras since generation 1. That hasn't changed. The maximum frame rate is 5 frames per second, which again, I think is adequate, especially in your studio. You're not bombarding your strobes that fast. You're recycling about 1 second, maybe even slower. So again, as a studio camera, I think this is going to be great. You're going to be able to crop your images through that 53 megapixel sensor. And I'm curious to see how good the dynamic range is going to be. Once I get my hands on that camera, I'll for sure give a little report or a detailed report on what I'm seeing versus the previous 5D Mark III and the actual Phase 1 digital back that I have, which is at 60 megapixels. So I'm expecting to be very close within the range of what I see from that $40,000 camera. Hopefully it's still going to give me a little edge. I'm going to feel happy with my purchase, but we'll see. Otherwise, the 5D Mark III also offers video, as all the other models did, at full HD at 1920 by 1080. No mention of 4K. A little bit, I guess, sad, but I guess Canon is really trying to branch their video and photo cameras into two different lines, since you got the C100, the C300, and so on series, which is dedicated to video. Other than that, uses the same battery. It still offers a mini HDMI output terminal, which again I find is a little bit clunky and sad. I don't like these little plugs. They tend to be flimsy. They tend to break. Otherwise, the rest is generally the same. The shutter speed is, again, bulb, 30-second, 1/8,000th of a second. And there you have it. That's pretty much the difference. Now, both cameras should be available towards the end of March, beginning April, retailing for $34.99 for the 5DS. That's in US or euros. Or for $200 more, you get the R version without the low-pass filter at $36.99 US or euros. Now, I don't know what your local Canon reps will set their prices at, their distribution network will set it at. Like me in Canada, I expect it to be probably a little more since our dollar's not doing that great. Besides that, I guess that's really it on the 5DS. So moving on to the next little announcement, which is still a nice little camera, is the new Rebel, the 750D. It features, I believe, a 24 megapixel sensor. It offers full HD movies with MP4 format. It has an ISO range of 100 to 12,800. Again, you're getting a pretty good system. Again, a flicker detection system. You're getting a less performant, less professional grade autofocus with 19 autofocusing points, which is still going to be pretty good compared to the 5D Mark II. If I recall, I had maybe 9, if I'm doing it on the top of my head, or the first 5D. So within 5 years, you're getting a really good kick-ass camera with the 750D, which I'm sure you can use in for studio or as a backup camera. You shouldn't shy. It's really the lenses that make the difference, I find, and your post-production work. You know, your camera is just there as a vehicle to record the image. Sure, if you're going to shoot weddings, sports, and high ISO, these are more specialty cameras. But from a studio point of view, a lot of cameras can do the job. Since you basically are shooting with strobe light, you're shooting at ISO 100, you're not to worry too much about the quality of the picture. They all really shoot well. It will offer, though, Wi-Fi and near-field communication, NFC. I'm curious to see what the NFC is going to do with the picture, if it's going to throw it faster than the Wi-Fi. I'm not familiar with NFC technology very much. I know that I think the iPhone has it. So again, I guess they're future-proofing that camera in some ways. So we'll see. Now, that camera, I believe, as well, is going to be going out on sale in the same period. I don't have a price for some reason on my list here, so I might try to put it down in the bottom of the screen here or in the write-up of this blog. Now, next up is the Canon EF 11-24 f4L grade professional series lens. Now, this is an ultra-wide-angle zoom with the latest technology in coatings and spherical lenses. This is going to be probably one kick-ass lens. It's going to be retailing for about 3,000 euros or 3,000 US. Quite an expensive lens, very specialty oriented. I'm guessing it's more, again, for the sports shooter that needs to do those crazy snowboarding shots, or those mountain climbers hanging by a thread to give that great expanse. As a photographer in a studio, I don't see any use for this lens. But again, as an advanced hobbyist or a person with deep pockets or a professional, this is going to be a very, very nice lens. And that's it. Again, should be available shortly. And that's really it. That's what's been going on with Canon. There's a bunch of little power shot cameras. I'm not going to go into those details. I'm going to want to concentrate on mainly the professional market. And that's it. So until next time, we'll be talking soon. Happy shooting.